Hi everyone, it's Braylon and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm a special ed teacher and the past 4 years my classrooms have mostly been around kindergarten through 2nd grade, and this year I'm kind of transitioning into a little bit of like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, and I'm really excited about it. If you've been along for my journey, this is redundant, but if you're new, then I was out of school for 3 years and then I transitioned to a new school last year. And so I spent a lot of time over the summer kind of prepping things for my classroom. I didn't know my students yet. I had basic information about them, and I spent a lot of time trying to create like a scope and sequence and all of the things that I would need for my classroom. If you're in special ed, you understand the amount of effort that goes into creating a classroom. It's a lot of work, and especially like a school year that was hybrid or pandemic teaching or whatever, it's really kind of thrown me for a loop. So one of my main goals is that for the 2021-2022 school year, I will be much more planned and prepared. And a lot of the systems that happen every single day, I'm going to already have set up and prepped by June when we leave for summer break. I get a lot of questions about this, like what if you get a new student or they make a ton of progress over the summer? Why are you prepping so much? If, a kid can change. Sure, they can change, and you know what? Then I can add to what I've already given them. But a lot of the things that I'm preparing are not grade specific or student specific. They're just my classroom specifically, things that I want to add. A few little notes I want to make is that my classrooms have mostly been for like early elementary, and I'm kind of getting into like a little bit later elementary. And because of that, some of the materials and skills things that I've had are not super applicable. So I've been taking this time also to kind of do inventory of my classroom. What things can I give away to other teachers? What things should I keep because some of my students might still need those skills? And just realizing that the classroom I'm in for the next couple years, hopefully, will be more of like a 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade type of classroom. And I get to keep those kids for a few years. So I kind of know the skills, like their skills now and where they're headed. The other thing I want to mention is that you might be a student teacher and you're like, I want to prepare for my classroom. I want to get things, ready, but you don't really know what your classroom is going to be like yet. To that, I would say, like, don't worry about it. You can watch this video, just kind of take notes, but I wouldn't stress yourself out if you're like a student or you're about to start looking for jobs in special ed, because you don't want to do a ton of work and then have it not be applicable. Or you might think you are going to be in an early childhood classroom and then you end up, the only job you get is in 4th grade. You just do the bare minimum. I would say if you're a student teacher or you're about to start getting a job, focus on like the organization of what you want, how you want to take data, pay attention to like what systems or type of management style you want. Those things are really cool, and I have tons of videos about that on this channel. All right, so a lot of this stuff I already had on TPT, and I'm not gonna leave a ton of links on this video because I don't want to advocate for you to buy things. I actually don't even want to talk about what the products are. Whatever you have, whatever your school is using for curriculum, whatever things you've already bought on TPT, use those, or boom card decks that you have, or free things. So I'm not going to link down below the specific activities because I don't want you to feel like you have to buy them. It's more about the systems that I'm putting in place and preparing for those that I think are a lot more important. So hopefully that comes through on this video. So if you are familiar with special ed teachers on Instagram, one of my favorite ones is Kim from Little Miss Kim's class, and she is a big fan of batch planning, and I am also a big fan of batch planning. And essentially what that means is taking the 20 minutes after work that you're dedicating to this, or an afternoon, and thinking about one subject of the day and what you can plan ahead with that. So for example, for my morning meetings, I already had this container from many, many years ago, from college actually, had some of these file folders, and I put just a label that matches a lot of the other labels in my classroom. And I'm actually going to plan out all of the units of our morning meetings. I actually already have them planned out in my scope and sequence, but the focus is going to be putting in simple whatever the activity is that I want for that unit, the unit plan, just kind of notes of like, oh, for this week, maybe each day talk about these vocabulary words, stuff like that. So my batch planning for my morning meeting is almost finished. I'm not going to show you like the specific things. It has kids' names and all of those things, but I would say if you are looking to do this, take some time and think about, okay, maybe for a month we're going to talk about weather. The next month we're going to talk about precipitation. The next month we're going to talk about emotions, whatever the thing is that you want. But I'm focusing on the units. They relate to the vocabulary words of the curriculum that we use at our school, like the general ed curriculum for those grades. So it's kind of specific to what I am doing in my class. So I can't like share those with you, but, I've been taking, it took me about 3 days after school with my little extra time to kind of go through the units, jot down basic notes of what I want, and then I'm going to take a little bit of time next week, look for the vocabulary like pictures that correspond to those units and put those in these file folders. And then I have an entire year of morning meetings planned and I don't even have to think about it. Similar to that, when I did pre-K in grad school, I actually purchased a question of the day for an entire year. If you're not interested in buying like a question of the day pack, you don't need to. You can honestly take an afternoon and write out 100 questions of the day, like basic things. There are tons of blog posts about those and question generators, and then every day ask one of those. You don't even have to make it that fancy. I just already had the product, and I printed off, question of the days, and I put them in these sheet protectors. It's not all the way prepped. See, some of them are cut, some of them are not cut. I'm actually gonna have my para, I think, do this towards the end of the year, laminate them. But it's some questions. What are you wearing today? Are you wearing a tie? How many letters are in your name? And it's questions for the entire year. But again, not linking this product down below. I think if anything, take a look and think about the questions that you want to ask. You can totally make this for free. So my question of the day will be all set, and they'll correspond to my morning meeting batch planning. And then every day we set up the room and we'll have our question out and our students will be able to answer it when they walk in. And for science and social studies, I use the autism helper. So in that curriculum, I have spent the time making the spiral bound books that go with it, the workbooks that are for like the extra practice worksheets. And then in that curriculum, there's 3 levels, and it always comes with an anchor chart, which I recreate, but I print off the basic anchor chart like this. And then I take a look at all the vocabulary words for science and for social studies for the whole year. There's 9 units. And so what I've done took me the beginning of March. I took 1 week every day after school to look at the vocab words and find pictures or images that match each vocab word so that we can have them hanging in the classroom and we can review them each day. I'm not obviously going to sell those or pass out the vocab words because a lot of them I took from Google Images, but I think it's a good use of my time so that my entire science is already planned because of that curriculum, and I have all of the vocab words for each unit. So my science essentially is already all set. We set up the science activity, we talk about the vocab, maybe we watch a quick video, do a quick science experiment, and then they do those autism helper science worksheets. And I'm making a bigger video on the autism helper, so I'll let you know when that's out, but I wanted to share that with you of some of the things that I'm prepping. And the same goes for the social studies. I did the exact same thing. So I took 1 week to do science and 1 week to do social studies. Oops, that's upside down. I just have to laminate them. And then they'll be all set. So that, see, there's some of the vocab words for social studies. And I'm going to get sheet protectors and put the unit anchor chart and then the unit vocab words in that sheet protector. So it's about a month per unit. So I'll already have them all set up. So that really also helps when it comes to me planning my weeks. And if I'm out and any of the staff members need to do it for me, they'll have easy access to exactly what we're doing in social studies. So that didn't take me very long, but it helps me a lot when thinking and kind of preparing for next year. Working on my morning work. Sorry, I always show this one. Morning work binders where I print off different freebies of the basic skills they're working on and we match them. I already have a bunch of those made from previous years, or they actually have a physical piece of paper. And The morning work is never work that's too hard for them. Morning work, in my opinion, is always work that they can already do independently, because I want my classroom to start off, they're doing their work, they're sitting down, calm, and they don't need a staff member next to them telling them exactly what to do. So it is tailored to them. I usually, if it's a piece of paper, I usually give one morning work paper and then a coloring page or something. And it's a good way for my students to ease into the day calmly, while me and my staff kind of go around and check in with them. How are they feeling? What do they need? Do they need to go to the bathroom? Stuff like that. So it's not my birthday in the background. It just says it's my birthday, but it's not. I'm sorry about that. For our morning work, I decided that I wanted to have everything already in here, just the master copies, but it would be in here week by week, broken up into the 3 levels of my students. So like the lower level, you know, almost like pre-academic skills, the middle level, which is probably like a grade K, and then the upper level, which is academically probably first grade, but some of those students are in higher grades. And I'm going to be putting them in the folders. So let me show you. So here are the folders. I have weeks 1 through 20 and then weeks 21 through 40, because I have about 40 weeks of school. And so basically I'm going to put all of the work, you know, week 1, week 2, and have it in here. When it comes to time, I just pull out the work and we're good to go. For the morning work, there are a few different things, like I was saying, to use. One of the products that I did invest in is from Kim, my friend Kim, from Little Miss Kim's class. Again, please don't feel like you need to buy it. I actually printed it off at school last week. That was one of my tasks in my after school time of prep. She has about 40 weeks worth of morning work broken into 2 levels. And so I'm just going to go through this and put them in the right weeks. I'll probably do that sometime next week. Like I said, I'm really breaking this up into small tasks over a long period of time. And then also I have a couple like packets that I've purchased from TPT. Ed Helper is awesome because it's free. I always look for the free worksheets on Teachers Pay Teachers. So anything like that, I will kind of go through and look at the skill level and add that to the morning work. Like I said before, I'm having the same students, I know them, and so because of that, I kind of have an idea of which kids are in which level and which things they'll probably need. Now, obviously, they might change and grow and mature, and if that's the case, then great, we will adapt. That's why I have the 3 levels, and that's why I have just the master copies. If a kid moves up in a level, then I'll just give them the different kind of work, but for the most part, I wrote all their IEPs, and so I know probably how we're going to be ending the year and how we're going to be starting the year. So this seems like a lot. It is. It's taken me a couple weeks just to kind of make the labels and then print off the stuff. And I might just sit down next week at school and finish this all just to have it done. All right, you are in a completely different part of my apartment, but I've been keeping everything here because I brought it from school, brought it here to show you. Now I need to bring it back to the school. So there are a few different things that I've also been working on. The first one is I have these extra baskets, so I thought I would use them in my classroom. I think they're kind of cute. This will be housing my writing units. Now, starting next year, hopefully with more kids in the building and different restrictions, I'll be able to have kids like go through different centers, academic centers, and one of them is a writing unit. And I use a lot of like, I use Tara West, so she has different writing centers by month. So hers, it's like 1 per day or 1 per, yeah, it's maybe 1 per 2 days, but I actually keep the writing center for the entire week. So I actually don't purchase the whole bundle of her writing units. I only purchase like maybe I think I purchased September, December, and like March or something. And so it has the vocabulary words to use. It has the writing pages for 3 different levels. It has the more things, just the visuals of it. And so in that area of the writing center, I lay out the vocabulary words or I hang them up. They choose their writing page and there's usually a staff member there and they kind of go through it. So this little basket will house those. I have not prepped the rest of it. This is as far as I've gotten, is printing it. They're not laminated, nothing. But I took a couple minutes the other day to look at what like baskets or things I had left at my apartment and what baskets I had left in my classroom. And I made these labels. That's as good as it's gotten. And these aren't even color coded. Like, these are all the extra folders that I have laying around that will house the units. Like, this is how not fancy this is. I also have another one here for pre-K centers, because there are a few of my students that are still working on pre-K, like early learning things. And again, look at these file folder things that I had. They were free. So this will house some of those. I have some centers that I already created a few years ago when I taught more like early childhood. So I'm going to be reusing those. I'm not going to recreate anything. And then also I have a few like worksheet kind of packets that I'm going to print and have as hard copies. So those 2 units will be good to go. Something else that I brought from school to show you is these sight word books that I've been making. And so I've been printing them off and stapling them together. So as we learn sight words, they'll be able to do the sight words. I have a pre-primer and then a primer. So I need to finish that one. I also, maybe like a few years ago, was gifted a bunch of different like early readers with sight words embedded. Don't ask me where they're from. Don't ask me anything. I've just had them in storage. If you're a teacher for a few years, you just kind of accumulate a lot of random stuff. So I thought that I would put this in the packet of the sight word books. And this is kind of what they look like. They have like different practice things. So I made like 3 copies of each. And then, what are these called? Binder clips. So they're in order. So these are the pre-primer words with a couple books for extra help so that it's ready to go. So as we kind of go throughout the year and different students need different things, it'll be much easier for me to kind of grab the sight word that they're working on, and whether it's me or the staff member, they'll be able to kind of work on them. So that's been a big thing. The superhero teacher, if you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. She made a lot of amazing free posters just about equality and inclusion and love is love and different quotes from different leaders. Black Lives Matter, different things like that. And then this is from Kim from Elementary in the Mitten. Her like, I think it's called like important figures or something. She drew all of these. So I have a lot of these that I want to put in frames for next year. I didn't have the chance to do it this year because of COVID and the constant change of location, but I definitely want to add frames to this and find a way to hang this up in my classroom. So I actually printed this at home. This has kind of been chilling right here. And for Christmas, I asked for my parents for this tapestry. I'll leave a link down below if I can find it. I think it says like when many little kids do many little things somewhere, it makes a difference or something like that. So I want to hang that tapestry up. So in terms of decor for next year, I'm just going to kind of wait on a lot of it because who knows, we could be going virtual again. I'm not going to worry about everything. So I've just kind of been housing all the decor that I've accumulated. I've been kind of housing it here and just waiting for when it'll be available to use. So moving a little bit over, there are a few things that I do want to show you. I have this massive basket that I've just had in my apartment. I think we were using it for pillows or something. So I've kind of been using it as storage for my projects to carry between here and school or between school and back home for filming purposes. But basically, one of the things that I've been doing is I've been systematically going through the boom card decks and the Google Slides that I purchased throughout this year. So if I ever bought anything related to comprehension, or if I found, basically I own all of the free boom card decks available on that website, whether it was parts of speech or comprehension or math or whatever. I took some time the past couple weeks to print off a lot of boom card decks. And if you don't know how to print them off, I'll leave a tutorial down below, but basically you just go right click on a boom card deck and then you can click print, and it's that easy. And so I decided to take them and print them off and make them into more interactive books. And so that's been like really, really cool. So I want to show you an example. Weather words. I had a lot of decks related to weather words. Some of them were like made for me literacy. So I printed them off, laminated them, and bound them. And so my students will be able to, use a dry erase and circle the answer. I did a bunch relating to comprehension. I made a lot of, what are these? Hold on. I made a couple really big books based on different levels. So this is like level 1 comprehension, I think from a Google slide deck that I had. And it has a simple passage and then you answer the questions. So I made a bunch of these just to kind of have for extra support when talking about certain topics, or say we do a lesson on it or it's an IEP goal, they have extra time to practice. I also found one like this, so I just printed it off and laminated it and made some really cool interactive like books that they'll be able to use. I also printed off the same comprehension stuff, but just, oh sorry, what am I doing? But just like this. Oh my gosh, see, I cannot even get myself together. Like this in black and white. So I had master copies. And also I always keep these available so that I could easily take this out, put it in a sheet protector, and the student could still work on it. So just things like that I've been kind of systematically going through and printing off. If you use Super Teacher worksheets, which I highly recommend for like additional activities, if you are finished with a unit or something and you need more support or more worksheets, they also have like spelling units. And so some of my students are really working on spelling. And although I don't really like the drill and kill method of spelling, sometimes they do need help with certain word families. And so I did take a couple minutes the other day and print a ton of spelling units and just put them in sheet protectors. And a lot of these binders don't match. They're old binders from other things, or binders I found at my school, like in storage, okay? And so I haven't really bought a lot of these materials. I already had a lot of them. If you don't have sheet protectors, sometimes I just 3-hole punch it and I'm good to go. But that's a lot of the little actual things that I've created. So I'm going to be putting them back into my classroom, you know, by subject. So the parts of speech are going to go in one area, the comprehension. And so these are a little bit higher level than what my students were working on this year, but because they're growing and maturing and making progress, I really want to have more of these materials readily available. All right, so I feel like I showed a lot of stuff. These are just the basic things that I'm starting right now in March, April time. I'm hoping to have a lot of these projects done by the middle of April, and then I'm going to be moving on to making sure I have enough of my file folders, a few more centers, a few more task boxes for higher level, and really intentionally making sure I have the copies and things ready for the first few weeks of school. So if that is something you're interested in, I will definitely also vlog that as well. But again, I just want to reiterate that if you are a student or you don't have a job yet, please don't freak yourself out and go buy a bunch of stuff to prepare, because you just don't know what you're going to have. But if you are in a position to start planning ahead, it might be worth it to take 15-20 minutes each day and start preparing more things, because who knows, we might actually need that. We might need our summer time off or our spring break or whatever as a way to relax, and we don't want to have to be doing work this whole year. And if I've learned anything from this past school year, it's that change is inevitable and a lot more things keep popping up, and I'm so grateful that I took the time to plan out so much of this school year last year, because it really helped me in the long run. So hope that this video was helpful in some way. You guys are awesome, and I'm so grateful for this community. And yeah, let me know down below if you have other things you want to add, or tips or whatever, or other things that you've been doing to kind of plan and get ahead. I would love to make sure that other people in the community can see those pieces of information as well. So thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!